Hey everybody, I'm back. It's another anime reaction. Uh, Probably if you watched a couple of my videos, you know how this works, where I just kind of do an overview of anime that I've recently watched. One in particular I actually rewatched was Ghost in the Shell. And I watched both the standalone complex and the second gig, which is basically the second season from the series, which was done in, I believe, the early 2000s. I've watched the original movie. I also own the original manga. Unfortunately, I do not have the original, which has the juicy lesbian orgy scene that apparently whoever does the publishing now just doesn't put in. Apparently, it's too lewd or whatever. But if you want to do more research on that later, you can. It isn't really relevant to the analysis of the series, but if you want to look into the manga, I would go for it. I love Ghost in the Shell. Um, it's probably one of my, I would say, top 10 favorite anime series that I've seen recently. Um, to me, I did one on Burst Angel, and it's like that, but it goes way more into the scientific prospects of what's going on. The main focus in this futuristic Tokyo is about people being able to go into a digital network, via internet, but everyone's brains are connected, so they can communicate via like uplinks, and people can get viruses downloaded onto their brains and things like that. And there's this blurring line between um, what's tangible in this world and what isn't, what's becoming more digitized and what's more analog, and the blending of that within the anime series is pretty thorough. But a lot of it has to deal with action. There's a lot of action involved. Basically, you're following this government group that is kind of special ops, and they're all specialized. They're all modified human beings. And Ghost in the Shell, if you're not completely familiar with the series, people have prosthetic bodies, and so the idea is that they are given cybernetic implants or prosthesis to enhance their abilities, whether it be their eyesight, in the case of a character named Bato, or some people have full prosthetic bodies, like Major Motoko Kusanagi, who's the main character. You might notice with the purple hair, and she's pretty much the epitome of a Razor Girl. And if you don't know what my references to Razor Girl then I'd suggest you read maybe William Gibson, and you'll get a pretty good idea. I would classify this probably as a cyberpunk series. It has a lot of, deals with a lot of hacking, a lot of digital stuff, this kind of underground elements, and being subversive within the culture and things like that. Very cyberpunk-esque. Part of it, the appeal too, is it's established in a futuristic type Tokyo, and there's a lot of government interaction that goes on. Obviously, because the group involved in the story is all special ops. There's a lot that deals with government interaction, and to me, that was very appealing. One thing is, Japanese culture is a little bit different. I think the politicking is a little different. They're a big gift giving culture. So, and they almost always, if they give a favor, they almost expect a favor in return. Whereas then, I would say in some Western cultures and maybe other cultures, you give the favor, but it's supposed to be out of the kindness of your heart. Now, whether that's actually true or not, I don't know. But in Japan, there's kind of a reciprocation. And so that carries over into the culture of the series too, because obviously there are certain political powers at play, and the missions are dictated within this group. There's a very large cast of characters. I would say all of them are very unique in their personalities and prevalence. I think all of them are featured in the original manga in one way or another. Now, some are more explored than others. Obviously, you're following Motoko Kusanagi quite a bit because she's the leader, basically. She heads up the group. The operations. It's run by a character named Aramaki, who is basically their go-to government guy, and he's got to do all the politicking and going through the hoops while his team gets things done. Now, I said earlier it was divided up into two series. The first one is the standalone complex. I would say this by far is my favorite series of the two. The two actually have two different feels to them. This one, for me, is a little more thorough with character development. Sometimes there's episodes that are just kind of, no pun intended, standalone episodes, and they deal more with characterization and developing the relationships, and you kind of get to know more about the characters, which is really unique because in a setting where it's people have these prosthetic bodies and people can jump into the net and even swap bodies, and they have brain dives and viruses. There's a lot of sci-fi jargon that goes into it, but it's really interesting. It's a very intelligent anime, and it's something you really have to pay attention to. I would suggest not going into the middle of the series if you can. I would start all the way from the beginning. I tried that one time and that didn't work out so well. But the first series deals primarily with a antagonist called the Laughing Man. I'm not revealing too much because I won't tell you a whole lot about him, but there's kind of this antagonist they're dealing with throughout the first series with that, and it comes into play later. The second series, it's a little more politics. I would say not a little more. It's actually a lot more about the kind of global politics within Japan itself in the story. And it plays after the first series, so it is a chronological order. However, the second series, I think there's parts of it to me that feel a little rushed, and there are elements to it that I feel probably could have been done a little bit better. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I do like both of them. I like seeing all the characters and things like that. But the feeling of the first series, I think, was by far the epitome of what Ghost in the Shell is. Having read the original manga, I will say that they did a very good job of incorporating elements from the original manga and interlacing them throughout both series, which I was very surprised because there were characters in the manga that I was reading and go, wait a minute, that character pops up here and there. So if you've read the manga and you go into the series, you'll recognize some characters and situations that have just been modified a little bit to fit the chronology a little bit better. But yeah, so it's a really good series. There's these think tanks in there. Shiro Masamune did another series. I can't remember what it's called, Dominion, I think. But he likes using these ideas of these like intelligent tanks, and it's almost like these almost mechanized pets. In this, they're used for both battle situations, and they have AI so they can analyze situations. But they kind of add their own little comic element to everything. There are some serious moments with them, but they're more for comedic relief. There's a little segment at the end of every episode. It's called Tachikomatic Days, which to me is a little cartoony and hokey, but you may enjoy that kind of humor. Aside from something else, you didn't have it, it would be okay still. But if you're watching on a DVD, you can just skip it. So it's not that big a deal. As a total, I can't say there's anything I really dislike about the series. Granted, I'm a victim of bias, so I really love the series. I love the intelligence of it. It's something that if you're really smart and you're into something, you want more sophistication out of it, I would totally watch it. There's plenty of action, and that's a good thing. If you're really into that you will get tons of that in watching this anime. I will say, for me, I almost wanted more out of everything, but to me, it was a pretty good series. And you could, if you still want to get into it, you can watch the original movie. The movie was done, I think, in 1997. The animation still holds up today. It's still a very beautifully animated movie. It basically takes a big element from the original manga series and just puts it into one movie. But some of the same characters you saw in the series, if you watch it afterwards, you can always watch it before. Now it's the movie's a little different, and you'll realize that obviously because it was older. But it's really good. Visually, it's very stunning, and the concepts are very good, I think. But the series to me fleshes out everything you really want out of the Ghost in the Shell series. The ambiguity of lines blurring between what's life, what isn't life. They do. There's a lot of questions of ethics and morals. What's appropriate in the cyber world? What's not appropriate? How do how do hackers dive into people's brains and get information, or completely erase people's memories and things like that? I mean, these are questions that actually could happen in the future, which is one reason why I really love this series, is because it's so speculative, of what we could run into possibly in the future. And to me, I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. Uh, but that's pretty much my analysis. Obviously, you can tell I really like it. So, I mean, I think there are very few people who probably dislike it. Again, I mentioned this before. If slice of life stuff, you're more into the, you know, what's going on in everyday life in Japan. This is definitely not it. If you're all into the action, sci-fi, thriller, crime, shootouts, things like that, you'll probably love this anime. The American voice acting cast, I think, does a terrific job. There are probably several voices you'll recognize. To me, it was very appealing. That's why I rewatched it recently. I did watch it years ago the first time, and I really fell in love with it. But I watched it again recently, and this is just kind of an overview of it again. Anyway, you can just tell me your thoughts on it. If you want to leave a comment, you can. If not, I would recommend watching the series, like anything I've mentioned before. But, that's kind of how it goes. So, Ghost in the Shell, very good series. Totally recommend it. And that's about it. So, I'll talk to you guys later. I'll probably have some more coming up. I do have one anime that is by far my very, very favorite anime, so I might actually do a longer video for that, maybe a two-parter. So maybe look forward to that. But I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for the comments and watching.